Welcome back, everyone, to Drop Frames. Co, is that your cat?
Yeah, this is Geralt of Rivia.
Hey, I saw the new dog. How's that going? Is he already trained?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we rescued a little hound dog recently, a little hound beagleoid mix that needed a home, and yeah, we were definitely told that hey, he's 4 months old and he's been to the vet and he's house trained. Cool. Yeah, he's definitely not, and he's definitely peeing all over the place. And interesting thing to have a 9-month-old son and a puppy at the same time. That's been an experience.
Yeah,
yes, it has been.
Just all
but it's been
things.
great. He's a really good little dog. He's great with the cats. He's great with the baby. I mean, that's the big thing. And he's a real sweetheart. So he's got his own little emote now. So it's official. It's official.
Nice. What name did you give him?
His name is Booker DeWitt.
Nice. Okay.
So
well done.
That's his name. We're going to be getting a second dog probably in a month or two.
Oh, nice.
To kind of let them grow up together and stuff. Probably going to rescue a bully breed, I think.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But we're gonna let this guy get situated first and everything.
Cool. All right. Well, let's let the weebdom take over.
Put on your enormous eyes and your tiny mouth.
Yeah, meet Master
I brought all
Persona.
my own smart.
Let's meet Master Persona Adam with student Zeke over here. Zeke, what led you to start Persona 5? Because was it just sheer boredom? Were you just looking to play the games of the year that you missed? Like what? Why?
Yep.
Where did it come from?
No. I went through a phase where I wanted to play like all the games that might be considered to be top 10 material.
Yeah.
And I had played all of them that most people were talking about, like Zelda, Odyssey, Horizon, Hellblade. And this was the only one, and I shied it away for obvious reasons. Because as far as anime goes, I have barely dipped my pinky toe as far as how deep it goes.
Yeah. How deep
Like I
the rabbit
barely
hole
did my
goes.
pinky toe. Like I've seen all of the classics, like the ones that most people have seen. I like Studio Ghibli. I like I've seen Akira, and I've watched Neon Genesis and all this, like all the surface ones, One Punch Man, that everyone's seen. And I thought this might be too much for me. Like Xenoblade.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just enough to have that style, but it's engaging enough gameplay and story and music that it really, like, from the jump you're in. And I made this comparison, I think I tweeted out or something, but unlike some other games, Zelda, this thing grabs you right from the start. You start off action. It's a heist. You're trying to run from everybody. And it's music. And it's sights and sounds and all this kind of shit. Grabs you. And it's like it's shot back and forth between present and past. I mean, you play most of the game in the past. But you start in the present getting interrogated, or after you get caught getting interrogated by the prosecutor or whatever they call it. And then you go back and you start the actual story of like the gameplay story. And it's weird. Don't get me wrong. There's some very weird shit. Like the first time you see the king is an indication of where this can go.
Right.
Because you see the guy, and like this is in the first first session of playing. You see him and he's wearing a crown and the king's like cape with the white and the black spots on it, the red, and underneath there's nothing but either a pink Speedo or pink panties. Like that's what he's wearing. And you go, oh, here's the anime stuff.
It gets a little bit more anime than that, but yeah. I mean,
does it get weird? Yes, but it's a palatable kind of weird. There's an explanation for why it's weird, because you're in a world of, I don't say imagination, but it's like that. Anything can happen in this world because it's someone's projection of themselves.
Right. I think the best way to relate it to kids these days, Zeke, is it's not offensively cringy. like if something is cringy in the game, it's meant to have that effect on the player. It's not just like, oh God, like it's
I wonder about that. I feel like what makes something truly cringe, as the kids say.
Are we going to define this now? Is that what we've become?
I just think that it has to be done. It's done by, like, if you're cringy on purpose, it's not really like that. It doesn't evoke that awkwardness.
Sure.
I don't think anime does that. Anime has a hard time being self-aware in that way, I think, versus say something like The Office, which is very much that feeling of cringiness, but is engineered. But I think I know. I mean, this is the trick, right? True like weeb level anime shit is like pornography. You know it when you see it, but it's hard to define otherwise. And there are moments in Persona that I think lean into some of these anime tropes, but not as hard as you might expect. I think that's something that I think. The other thing is that it's every aspect of it, every single part of Persona 5 is highly intentionally engineered. Everything about it is very on purpose. And I would go so far as to say the thing that grabs you in the game isn't even the first scene, it's the title sequence. It's the Yuri on Ice style animation at the beginning before you even start the game.
Right.
And then that intentionality runs all the way through the game in a really cool way.
I think it also does some cool stuff on touching like on serious topics, like this type of stuff that we're seeing here at the very beginning of the game is just kind of like, oh, or even the king, as you spoke about, like it's pretty intense. Like it doesn't hold back and it doesn't shy away from like fucked up situations, and that continues on.
Yeah, the series is about Persona is about the illusions of identity, right? It's about the game is about teenagers because teens are in a place in their life where they're developing their self, they're creating their self, and it basically just makes that process of learning who you are and learning what other people think of you and what you should be, it makes that into a magical thing, and it gives you your persona, and the characters both in 5 and 4 interact with social expectation and personal expectation in terms of becoming a human being, a full person.
Yeah.
So real quick,
I think it's really cool.
Just a question for somebody who hasn't played any of these games. Is that the theme in the Persona games? Is that the persona is the person's like transition to adulthood?
So there's sort of two arcs to the series, right? There's the Shin Megami Tensei games, and there's the Shin Megami Tensei Persona games, which are now basically just called Persona. The Shin Megami Tensei games are much more like grindy Japanese RPGs about a bunch of different stuff, and they have a set of monsters that are in it that get shared with Persona. But the Persona series, especially Persona 3, 4, and 5, are about identity at its core. They're very Jungian. They rely on this idea of the self and the development of the self versus the development of the other. And they're actually incredibly cerebral games, despite the fact that on the surface they can seem like goofy anime games.
Yeah.
I think they do a really good job balancing that. P5 especially.
What I really, really enjoyed about it was that you don't need to know anything about the previous games or anything about the legacy of these kind of games. You can jump right in. It's its own contained story. You can play it. Apparently, there's nods like every once in a while to other games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Persona are the same for the most part.
And also, this kind of shit, they use specific words that make you go, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, he uses the word rehabilitation. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean rehabilitate? I don't fucking... Am I really this? And this is actually happening?
Yep.
And they call you inmate, and you're like, why the fuck am I in prison in this? And you really you're like puzzling it out. And like, I just love the word choice, because it just totally lends itself to saying there's way more than you're thinking is going on right now.
There's a lot of very deep intentionality in the game all the way through, right? The choices of the characters' personas as illustrations of the characters' personalities, the way the themes of the game are both subtle as they develop, but also like clear and obvious, right? Like from the get-go, you can tell that this game is kind of about like, you know, conflicting with authority, making decisions despite what you're expected to do. But there's a lot of other like subtle stuff, and it goes quite deep, right? Like the character in the game, as Zeke said, is a prisoner, both literally and figuratively, of the world around him. And they name the high school Shujin, which is in Japanese a homonym for the word for prison, right? And so these things layer throughout the game, and that's what gives it, I think, this very literary feel. You can delve in as deep or as shallowly as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's little tidbits as well, like the hats on these two guards or whatever. Like you look like, why the fucking... Oh, it spells out oxymoron. What? Why? Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? And why is one nice and one mean? Maybe that's the oxymoron. Fuck, I don't know, man. You know, and it's great. I love it. I love being confused. I love puzzling shit out. And that Shujin thing, that's something I would never have known unless you told me, because I don't speak Japanese.
And I think that's a cool thing about it too, is that it's a game where it's set in the reason that the game is set in Tokyo, the reason the game is set in Japan is that's important to the story, right? This isn't just a game about teenagers anywhere. This is a game about these teenagers in this society that is Japan, and that stuff is important, which makes translating it really difficult, right? Because you're not just translating the words that are in the script of the game, but you're translating the cultural milieu of the game, which is difficult because you're going to miss stuff, right? That's how translation works. Like you get the spirit of it as best you can, but you miss some stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's
also,
a
like,
lot of animes.
Yeah.
I really, really liked how they, like, at the beginning of the game, you get a lot of cutscenes with actual drawn and like anime. It's actual cartoon. Like, I love that. They kind of taper off a little bit as the game starts, but fucking excellent way to grab somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a little bit of gameplay, here's a little bit of dialogue, and now we're gonna show you this fucking actual anime shit, and then we'll get back to the game.
That's
and then we
how
did
they've
that.
always done
Like,
it.
there's a good, like, nice chunk at the beginning to get you, like, really hyped about what's coming.
Yeah, and that's kind of to me, that's a little bit of the carrot on the stick of the game, is like, I want to get to that next like animated cutscene, or get to the end of this dungeon and see what the fuck happens here, etc.
I want to see the next not companion, what do they call them? Confidants. I want to see the next confidants persona like happen.
Right.
Like,
and
those fucking really cool moments, like when you're
totally,
like,
yeah,
Captain Kid, and you're like, fucking yeah.
Yeah, and they look really cool.
They let you guess, right? Because once you get the theme, once you're like, okay, Phantom Thieves, they're characters who are like outcasts from society, but that we look on positively. Like the reason that they chose Arsène, right, Arsène Lupin as the main character's initial persona. Again, that's a Japanese thing in that, like, Lupin III is a very popular, long-running, like, it's an anime and property in Japan, and a Japanese audience immediately has an idea about the MC's personality because his persona is Arsène, right? We may not have that unless we're connected to the original literature, but you start to guess, right? You meet a new character and you're like, ooh, I wonder who their persona is going to be. Like, what character from history are they going to be like, and how is their character going to develop because of that?
That was one of the fun conversations to have with the chat. Like, what would my persona be?
Oh yeah.
And I pictured like an Al Capone with like a Machine Gun Kelly with like a Tommy gun. Like he would pop out and just be like, shit like that. Like, it's fun to like do thought experiments because it brings up so many ideas. And I'm guessing mostly it's intentionally funny, but there's also that culture gap between, Japanese and the US, where it's like, that's a very Japanese thing that just happened, but it's funny to me.
Yeah.
So what'll happen, and this is true of Persona, and it's true of every translated anime ever. So Japanese is a really easy language to make puns in, and puns are really important to Japanese humor a lot of the time. So if you're playing a game or you're watching an anime that's dubbed, you're gonna get to a place where someone will make a joke, and you're like, that wasn't funny at all. Like that just was like awkward.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it's because it was a really funny pun in Japanese, but in English, there's no way to make that same joke. So they just awkwardly kind of like find a way to tell the joke another way. And yeah, that's what that moment often is, where you're like, oh, this would have been funnier in Japanese, but now it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there are some definitely like just groaners. I don't like translation, like the fucking cat with the meowvelous shit and
yeah,
you know, that kind of stuff. Just like first time that happened, I just dropped my controller, took off my headphones.
Persona 4 has Teddy, and Teddy's kind of a nightmare to deal with. Yeah, he's kind of the Tatsuko of Persona 4. Yeah.
Teddy is the second worst character in any Persona game ever. He's terrible.
So you're honestly saying bad?
Yeah.
You hate it?
Well,
yeah,
he's
the game would have been better if he wasn't in it. Like if you find yourself sort of annoyed by Morgana, take that and crank it all the way up to like just the voice acting. It's like a high-pitched, obnoxious character.
I'm Teddy.
Yeah, lots of shitty jokes.
Yeah.
He's almost the worst character in any Persona game.
Yeah.
Speaking of voices, I'm actually playing through it with the English dubs. Now, I usually watch anime with original Japanese and subtitles. Like if I'm watching an anime like movie or a series or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I went with English dub for the game, so I could pay because it's one less thing I have to pay attention to. I can look at chat while like and still hear and understand what's going on and that kind of thing. I will say, it's good.
Yes, it's quite good. The English dubs in the Persona games are really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm really curious about. So here's the last Persona games. They released multiple versions of them. So P4 came out, and it did really well. They re-released it as Persona 4 Golden. And for some reason that I never bothered to look up, they replaced one of the voice actors. So Chie in Persona 4 Golden has a totally different voice than she did in Persona 4. Now, inevitably, they're going to release another version of this, right? Most people think it's going to be like Persona 5 Crimson or something like that. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing, right? If they'll make any changes to the voice acting, because these changes are usually quite big. They're usually like, yeah, it's a big change to the game. But I think in this case, the voice acting, I would say the voice acting in Persona 5, honestly, just the characters across the board in P5 are better developed, more interesting, and have more depth than they did in 4, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're missing anything, is what I'm saying.
It is fun, though, to hear them say proper nouns that they have to say in Japanese.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Listening to them pronounce it, I went, you know what? You did about as good as I would do. So,
and
nice try.
Go. Like, they pronounce them like they're English words, which is really awful if you're used to hearing them in Japanese. Matt Mercer is actually the only one in the cast who's like really good at that. He pronounces them like they're Japanese names, but everyone else does this very strange, like, this is an English name using Japanese characters. Yeah. Sakamoto. It's Sakamoto. It's not that hard.
Sakamoto.
Yeah, come on.
Zeke, have you?
Yeah.
Zeke, have you met Matt Mercer's character yet? Have you seen him?
I don't think so.
Okay. He was the one that I ended up like right around the time that I quit. So I never got to see his persona or anything, but apparently he's a big
I mean,
favorite.
honestly, like pronouncing them with a good Japanese accent also is funny because I always get a little chuckle when Alex Trebek does shit like that. You know, when he's like, and he just has like his really thick, like he really pronounces it correctly.
It's very confusing to speak English, which is a pidgin language to begin with. It's like if you know someone who's like, oh, where are you going for your vacation this year? Are you going to be going to France? And you're like, yeah, excuse me? Yeah, have you ever been to Paris? Yeah, my favorite Japanese swordsmith is Miyamoto Musashi. And you're like, okay. Like, yeah. But in this case, they're supposed to be Japanese characters, so.
That old Brian Regan joke where he's like, I have Italian friends, and he's from like Ohio, but he turns really Italian when he talks about food. He's like, Yeah, come on over. My mom's gonna make some manicotti. You got some linguine.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Oh,
it's true.
Yeah, Zeke,
Let's all go out for some karaoke.
yeah, Zeke.
Yeah.
What do you think of the
Hot
combat
apple.
of the game? By the way, because I feel like the combat in Persona definitely ramps up to a difficulty of. Well, you're playing on hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you finding the difficulty of that? Because I think Persona in some parts can be like fucking unforgiving on harder difficulties.
Uh-huh.
Just like Path of Exile, like I'm only like 20, maybe 30 hours in.
Yeah.
So like I don't know how much I've dipped my toe into. Like I've had one like real combat where I did the combat once, I died, figured out, come back and only like beat it the second time. So
Yeah.
it hasn't been like brutal yet. I'm sure it's gonna get there, but as it is now, once you figure out like how it works, like with weaknesses and the fucking gotta catch them all Pokemon shit that you do, and the all out attacks,
Yeah.
that kind of shit. Once you figure that shit out, it becomes like it. I don't want to get cocky, but it's been pretty straightforward thus far.
It's I don't know, JP, you played through 4, right? You've played
For the most part, yeah.
like about as much at least as much as you did 3.
Sure.
I think 5 I think 5 is easier. I think 5 is an easier game than than 4.
Some of the like
overall.
some of those fights in 4, just in general, are you like walk into the fight and the guy just fucking like kills someone.
One shots
And
you.
it's really fucking annoying when he one shots the main character because the game's over. Like it just ends.
I playing this, Hama and Mudo, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're playing this with chat is likely to warn you to be like, yo, don't go into this fight with that persona equipped because you will get one shot. Because the AI is such that if it sees you with a weakness and it has an ability to get it, it'll do it. It'll just be like, oh, I can one shot you. Blip, get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
But you do it once and then you're like, oh, these guys have that. Let's avoid this ability.
Yeah. I remember in the when Persona 5 first shipped, and it was kind of that first week where all the streamers were playing it, and I finished streaming and I watched Dan, who was he was on the rooftop in the King's Castle, which is I think like a notorious part to just die. And he hadn't saved in like 2 or 3 hours, and he walked into a fight on the rooftop against one of the archangels and just died. Like they just went up.
Yeah,
and
there are a few
fucking-
monsters that are.
He just
that'll do that,
crit the main character and died, and Dan lost like 2.5 hours of gameplay. And a lot of that was like stuff that you can't skip by. It was like just shit you had to do, and he was so fucking upset.
That's one thing that I would say like happened to me the last time I played it.
Yeah.
I was like coming to the end of like a broadcast, like I've been playing for 8 hours, stuff like that. And I had to search around for keep playing for another 45 minutes before there was another save, which is fucking annoying.
It does get a little crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Especially like
I think
the big time consuming parts is when you're in the dungeons walking around. Because apart from that, the game does a pretty good job of like, all right. And Zeke, we were talking about this the other day. It's kind of nice in a sense. I don't necessarily like it, but it is nice that like, you know, you have a day, you can do one thing that day and you can do one thing that night, and then you're done and you move on to the next day.
Yeah, and then
I
your cat,
like that.
Your cat's like, go to bed, and you're like, it's like 6 o'clock, dude. And the cat's like, shut the fuck up, go to bed.
Yeah.
Get in your bed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, God.
Yeah, that's
Four and 5.
I do
both
like
have
that
this
though. I like having to
balance,
prioritize. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you. I think that it runs a bit of a balance in the idea of like you do some non-combat stuff, you do combat stuff, and I felt that right about when I was getting sick of a thing, the game would shift me into the other thing. I'd be like, all right, I'm about done with this dungeon, and then I'm like, oh, cool. All right, now I'm gonna go and work on my my social links. But it does have that Japanese game thing where you can do it wrong and not get like the true ending. It's not as bad as 4, but there is some stuff where it's like if you didn't do it quite right, you'll get a version of the ending that isn't like the final version.
Yeah.
P5 was way more forgiving. You have to jump through some ridiculous hoops in 4 to get the like for realsies ending.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying.
But I did like the going back and forth. I thought that was
Zeke, did you get? I have to be careful. Have you gotten to drive a car yet?
Yes, that was the last part. People in chat, they didn't spoil it. I mean, much to their credit, but they did do that thing like, I can't wait to see his reaction.
Yeah, because my reaction
And I
was just like,
whoa, there it is.
So I was reading. I have the P5 art book. Apparently, Morgana was originally going to be able to turn into a bunch of different stuff, and they just landed on like, well, we'll do the one thing, and we'll stick with that. But yeah, diving into its butt. It's a whole thing. Just it's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
When that happened, that's right around the time where I quit the game, and I was just like, because of the streaming issue where they were gonna, you can't stream past this, blah blah blah, and I was like, well, I guess I'm done. I'm not gonna risk it.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? And what like a weird, funny thing that is?
Well, it just never mattered. No one got banned.
So what's great is that the game. So Atlas, for folks who may not have heard this, so Atlas basically said, people who are streaming this game or making YouTube videos, do not play past this point, right? Stop here, or else, right? There was this kind of nebulous, like, well, we're not promising we're gonna mess with you, and it's not us, it's our Japanese HQ,
right? But
like, if you stream past this date and something bad happens to you, well, it's your fault. And then they moved it. But what's interesting is that the company said that, but the whole game's theme is pretty much fuck the police.
Yeah.
And so you're playing this game, and the whole theme of the game is like, don't just rebel. Don't do what people tell you.
Yeah.
Be true to yourself. Do what's right for you. And Atlas is like, don't do it. And you're like, I don't know. You're saying this, but your game is saying, go ahead and do it anyway. Yeah. So
is this really creative marketing?
Yeah, that's exactly. Honestly, it's
like,
yeah, is it creative marketing?
Yeah, the whole point of the game, like they were acting like villains in their own game. Like that's the kind of thing that a character in the game would do. And so you're just like, do you want me to not do it or to do it? I can't. So I thought that was like Alanis Morissette levels of irony, right? Like it just felt so good to be like, this is a weird thing that's happening, and I ended up quite liking that as part of the thing in the game.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I really, really want to take at least a little bit of time to talk about the music.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy fucking shit.
The entire presentation of the game.
So good.
The music and like the style of it, the way that like the art is, like just this fucking text box has so much style to it compared to other RPG text boxes.
So the game had a director producer, right? Katsura Hashino is the guy in charge of the game, but they had a designer, like a person responsible for making the game, a creative director essentially for this game, Naoya Maeda. And you can tell there was a person whose job it was to conjure a very specific aesthetic for the game through the use of the menus, the music, the ambiance of the game. It feels like a game that isn't just a game. It's like art. It's an artistic expression of an idea, of a theme.
Yeah.
Which beautiful. Totally beautiful.
Oh, it's good.
And this is Persona does this too, right? P4 had a similar, like really impressive looking menu system and pause screens and stuff. But Zeke, talk about you can listen to the music, and you should. But Zeke, why do you like it?
I'm not part of this, man. Don't look at me.
Like, I just want to give you something to do. What's your favorite song, Ko? Zeke, what do you like about the music? Why is it something that appeals to you?
Well, first of all, it's catchy as fuck. Like, it fucking gets stuck in your fucking brain case and will not jump out of there. It's really well done. It's a mix of ambient, cool, ominous, like depending on it tailors itself to the location and to the situation. If you're doing something new, I look forward to every new area because there probably is going to be a new song to go with that area or several songs to go with that area.
Yep.
it's a good mix of not just like, it has rock guitars. That's fucking awesome. Like not a lot of games like put in like an actual like like a fucking rock guitar, and I was just like, fuck yeah! The metalhead in me was just super excited about that, and it's driving and it's motivating. And I've said this before, and I'll say it for as long as I'm a gamer. Music can make a mediocre game fucking great. Like, and I've used this comparison before. I've used this example before. Hotline Miami wouldn't be half the game it is without the fucking soundtrack that it had.
Without a doubt, yeah.
It was perfect, amazing, fit the mood, put you in a mood. Same with Persona, man. They picked the songs, they created the songs, and they fit them to the situation.
And they know it too. They know that the music is super important. Like there's a sequel to 4, and there's going to be a I guess a side sequel. There's a rhythm game sequel called P4 Dancing All Night. There's going to be rhythm games for this and 3. And honestly, the games are whatever. Like P4 Dancing All Night was fine. It wasn't great. But remixes of like all the songs in the game. Like it was worth playing just to hear all of that stuff. And they know that it's a big important part of the game. I really like the fluency of the music. You mentioned it, the idea that once a scene changes, right? When you go into do like the final boss, you're on your last day of the dungeon or whatever. It does not interrupt the music with fight music. It's like keeping that momentum up. It's like, here's the intense music for the end of this dungeon, and you got in a fight, but it's still playing that one track all the way through without interrupting you. Like they use it in incredibly subtle ways.
It's good.
Yeah.
It
makes me want to go finish this game now. But I've got, look, I've got Path of Exile in this vein, and I've got some Xenoblade in this vein, and eventually I'm just gonna OD. So we need to stop.
if you don't finish the game, you will not get to listen to the best song in the game. So I'll say that. If you like the soundtrack, you gotta wait. The very last fight has the best song in the game.
Yeah, I've heard that. Adam, how long was your playthrough in hours? Do you know?
120-ish.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, I think.
Yeah, it's a pretty long game. So
longest game I've ever played on stream. And the second longest was P4. So
yeah, I'm curious to see if Zeke sticks with it in that sense, because it's long. But if you're enjoying it, man,
I'll say this: like, there's a like benefit to the only other game that I am looking forward to in the next few weeks, personally, is Accounting Plus on PSVR.
That's true. There's not much out till January. No, that I think
I'm looking forward to just like maybe just playing P5. I'm as a streamer, as a full-time streamer, you have to look at the numbers, and the numbers have been fucking great.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. The cool thing about games like Persona is they'll have a pretty big, like, every game has its like launch views, right? And then everyone goes and stops watching those because they're playing the game. They don't want to be spoiled. And then everyone beats the game. And now you're in this like sweet spot where everyone's experienced the game and they want to watch someone else experience the game because they've forgotten some things that happened. And I think that's why it's doing so well for you.
I will say this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll say this as a fan of both Zeke, you as a streamer, and of Persona. It is a delight watching you play it because it's that exact same experience as like finding out someone that you know has not seen your favorite movie, and you're like, we got to watch this movie. And then you spend the whole time watching them watch the movie, be like, huh? Yeah, that part. Yeah, that one.
And you got to stop yourself from being like, hey, watch this. Really watch this.
This is important. This is important. Stop talking.
So I want to, I want to make sure we talk about this before. I want to talk about the merchandising of Persona, because Persona has my favorite purchasable merchandise. So there's a monster that's been in Persona, been in the Shin Megami Tensei series for a long time, right? Since day one. This monster is called Mara, and it is my favorite monster in any video game ever. And when Persona 5 came out, they announced they were making a statue of Mara. It's like big. It's a big like $500 statue. It's the size of a small cat, and you can buy it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that this exists. And chat's like, no, we're making you buy it. And so when it comes out in December, I will have an enormous green penis chariot statue. It's so great The game is just like, yeah, well, I mean, one of the monsters is this huge green penis. So here you go. Anime.
No, I that's the first, like, when I fought, there's like right before you go to like the king's, like in the first palace.
Oh yeah, you fight
right before you go to the king's throne room or whatever.
Yep.
You fight like a small just penis head.
Yeah.
Just you fight just the tip. And it didn't surprise me or, you know, whatever, because I was like, oh, well, about time. It's about time there's some dicks in this.
A game so heavily based around the psyche and the subconscious and like Jungian philosophy and psychology. There is no way they could get away without doing the Sigmund Freud and being like, check it out, it's a giant penis.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, speaking of streaming this game, it has been such a joy for me personally because it's not like automatic. Like every dialogue you have to press a button to I think you can put it on automatic, but every time I advance the dialogue, there have been so many times where something weird happens or something. Yeah, that's my tip alert. Sorry.
I think that's your persona. If you're wondering what your persona looks like, I think it's BC Warrior.
Yeah, without
there you go.
I was gonna say the hard thing about when you're having that conversation with Chad and they're like, oh, what'd your persona be like? You're like, you're looking at it. This is the persona, friends.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was, like, it's given me the opportunity and to interject with funny things and say, like, react verbally with what's going on. And there's many things that become reoccurring jokes or reoccurring, like, I hesitate to say memes, but reoccurring things that we keep going back to. Like the first time that Ryuji ever was like I got this app on my phone, and he goes, phone? And phone has become like a fucking thing, like just the word phone has become this like thing in my chat. And also, another thing that like got created out of nowhere was that in the first scene, you call the main character, he's called by his code name Joker.
Yeah.
Right.
And you like don't have that when you go back to the past. So it became like a running gag, like, yeah, that's why you call me Joker. You can call me Joker. Everybody calls me Joker. I mean, it's fine. Like, yeah, that was a humorous thing I just said. You can call me Joker.
Yeah.
Everybody I think everybody that plays this game does develop that stuff. Like we all play the game and have these jokes with our chat because, like, for me, the jokes were all different stuff, right? They were all like other things, but still there. The game does, and you'll find this as you go, the game does have to go out of its way not to name the character. And a lot of the time they call him Joker, but there are a few times where there's no reason to, and so they call him like this guy. So there's a point at which one of the characters is like, we would never have made it if it wasn't for that guy. And I think everybody develops these things. You watch it and you can see people who have watched another streamer play the game because they're bringing those jokes in and being like, oh, this is Pheasant Boy. Like, yeah. I love it. It's such a good series. I had such a good time playing it.
It's got style for days. Like everything in it has its own. It's one of the best UIs I've ever experienced. It's fucking awesome. It's a joy to look at. It's a joy to navigate through. It's just pop art.
The minis are
it's fucking wonderful.
The minis are snappy too. Like just going from like selecting these things right here or going through the menus, it snaps. Like it's not. There's no. I don't know. It's a weird thing to talk about, but it definitely has like a style and snappiness to it, which is very fun to play. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. I remember when we talked about it when it first came out. I don't know who we had on the episode then, but I remember both you and Co were just like,
was it Bike Man?
Maybe it was Bike. It might have been. But yeah, both you and Co were just kind of like, it's not for me. I'm not into it. And here we are.
It is so for me.
9 or 6 months later, whenever this game came out, I forget. You're into it.
It's one of those games like I hate to say like Dark Souls, but like Dark Souls that you get up and you're like, I get to stream some fucking Persona today.
Yeah, dude, that's been me for the past like week because Xenoblade was a lot of fun to stream, and then with Path of Exile, I literally wake up and I'm just like, well, I guess I am going to start this stream 2 hours early. Just play some Path of Exile till I can go as late as possible. It's been a.
And I will say that this is the first time that a game, or that I've had an emote made for a game that I've actually used.
Right. Yeah. You're using Zeke Anime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I've thought about doing some Path.
Oh,
of
that's
Exile emotes.
adorable.
Yeah.
For as a side note, and I had to look up to confirm this guy's name, but for folks who are into the like title stuff and the graphic design of Persona 5, look up. There's a guy named Saul Bass. He's a filmmaker and graphic designer from I guess like mostly the 60s, and this game is very heavily inspired by his work in like film titling. So yeah, Saul Bass. If you look him up, he's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's Persona. Random little bit of TID news, but it does kind of come into the Twitch world specifically. And I, as someone who's played World of Warcraft and kind of knows how big and considers that game super important, Tally just got an NPC in game. In World of Warcraft, named Tally, which is kind of a fucking big deal. Like, kind of fucking cool to see that type of stuff.
I thought you had to like die tragically to get one of those.
Yeah,
like,
I guess not.
Who did?
All right.
Tally.
Oh, Towley.
Yeah.
Oh, badass.
What'd you think I
Awesome.
said? You looked so confused. I was like, I don't.
Like Haley or something. I was
No. Tally. Yeah. It.
I had to turn myself down like real much so I don't echo. I can barely hear y'all.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a.
I've had a WoW character for months now.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Zeke the Zerker.
Yeah, he's got.
Look up Zeke the Zerker. He's fucking in the game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's TAU capital LI. He's a Pandaren monk that has a bunch of people sitting around him in game apparently on the PTR. So special shout out to him because that's pretty fucking cool of Blizzard to do that. I think that's they have some other people in there, but a lot of them are employees. They have like VHell, who's an employee who used to do a bunch of shoutcasting and still does for the game, but most people I've never seen that type of stuff before, so it's fucking cool to see that. I don't know how much more I can say on Xenoblade, except that game just got more weebier than last week, if you can believe that.
More what? Weebier?
Yeah, they go full. It goes more. It's more anime.
Do you not, Code? Do you know? Are you familiar with the term weeb? Do you know what it means to be a weeb?
I think he's generally the derogatory way of saying it. Yeah.
I mean,
I know of general weebness.
Yeah.
Yes, that's okay. Yes, there's no non-derogatory. If you call somebody a weeb, it's an insult. But don't. It's not good.
Yeah. I got to a point, and I kind of am actually. The game makes you, and I don't know the ramifications of it. I don't know if you can go back and change it, but 50 hours in, I had to make a decision in the game, and I've still been, and it's the stupidest decision, but still, like when I had that happen on Friday, and I was in Path of Exile, I was sitting there playing Path of Exile, and I was just constantly thinking like, fuck, I made the wrong decision. I should have gone with that other person. And like, I feel myself still today. And like, now it's become a thing where like people will tweet me in the middle of the day and just be like, hey, you fucked up. Why the fuck did you choose that person? You made the goddamn wrong decision. And so it's a weird game to talk about, especially with where I'm at, because it's so story based that even 50 hours in, people that have been with you from the very beginning of the game are doing the anime thing of being like, but I'm actually this. And then something happens in game and it's a 5-minute cutscene explaining why they did all that, etc. But it's still cool. I want to go and finish it. I've just been consumed by Path of Exile as of late. But
I'm hoping it'll grab me, man.
Me too.
As soon as I'm done with Spellforce, I'm gonna start checking it out.
Yeah. Let's talk about Spellforce. I've watched a little bit of it. We talked about last week how you were going to check it out, and I think you've played a decent amount of it since then. So what is Spellforce 3?
Okay, so Spellforce is a very interesting genre-bending franchise. And what it does is it takes your RTS backbone, and most of the mechanics are RTS-based and live in that realm, but it combines it with a pretty thorough set of CRPG-like mechanics. So what you get is you get heroes, you get characters with full inventories and stat trees and all sorts of mechanics related to that. but then you get jammed every so often into this framework where you're playing an RTS with your heroes, and you have buildings, and you have to manage resources and take different zones, and you have to, you know, build out those bases, and then you have to network those together and build an army and do an objective on the map. And what's kind of wild is just how far they go with it. I wasn't expecting that. So like when you have your RTS map, you know, you can take your heroes and you can run around it, and you can pick up random loot that people have stopped, or there's quests you can do, or you can, you know, like clear out an area. There's an undead camp and go there and go into a cave and find a bunch of loot. Or you can skip all that and run to the main story and get your little base set up and start attacking the enemy in an RTS style. It's crazy how well it works. A lot of people have told me they've really enjoyed Spellforce 1 and 2, and this kind of carries the torch into Spellforce 3. But not only am I really digging it so far, but the gameplay is fun and the story is pretty dark. Yeah. Like it is clearly a story that is based around, you know, religion, and that being an opiate of the masses, and how, you know, it kind of attacks it on a lot of states. And there's a lot of themes in this game that are very tangibly connected to the real world, and a lot of commentary based on that. And the story itself is just pretty dark on its own. And there's some pretty big reveals at the beginning, so I can't really go too far into it in case people want to check it out. But oh, it's my cat. And
you've got a cat cam now?
I got a cat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Letho. That's, if you're ever wondering my emotes and who they're based on, that's the guy.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's Spellforce 3. And what's even crazier is one of the lead characters is voiced by Geralt of Rivia. So it's really hard, because here's the thing. They hired Geralt of Rivia to do a voice. They sat him in the sound room, and he's probably sitting there like, okay, guys, so my new character for the new game, how do you want me to do this? And somebody just went, you remember that role you played in Witcher 3? Do that.
Just be Geralt.
Just be Geralt.
Do that again.
Exact same mannerisms, same tone, the same vocabulary choices.
This range. I'm a professional actor. I can do all kinds of. Just shut up.
I know, right? Yeah. Just do Geralt. We're not paying you for range, okay? We're paying you for Geralt.
Geralt's delivery is so bland, right? Like Geralt is intentionally meant to be very flat. I can't imagine wanting like more of that out of that context.
Yeah.
Imagine a slightly louder Geralt, and that's what you get here. He just yells every so often, sometimes. But what's kind of crazy also, and this is, to be fair, a nice change. So far, Geralt seems to be one of the bad guys.
Oh.
So that's kind of made it a bit more interesting, because you have
Zeke,
this.
You actually get to kill him.
I want to love this guy, but at the same time, he's being a total dick to me.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting.
Zeke might like the game now that you can actually just kill Geralt.
But what's also kind of interesting is this is a game set in like this kind of ancient world. It's fully voice acted, right? And that's pretty good.
There we go.
Most of the voice acting has been great. Geralt's in it. There's some others, but there's this one companion who I swear to God, they walked into their like QA section and they just went, okay, everyone raise your hand. Okay, you, all right, come with me. You're gonna voice this character, because there's like all this really well done voice acting. And there's this one guy in the back that kind of just talks like this the whole time. Like do I have to read this line? Okay, I guess. Jeez. And he's got like all the mannerisms that you'd never expect in a trained soldier. So you hear all these grizzled voices and people that are like of the time. And then there's this guy in the back that's just like, I really have to go kill those skeletons. It's very boring.
War.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, good. Yay.
Let me draw my sword to battle, friends, I guess, or whatever.
Exactly. While everyone else is well voiced. Like your lead character is, you know, he's sitting here with this kind of brooding voice that has a lot of emotion and depth. And then it's like, okay, Bertrand, we need to go. We need to clear this village out. Really?
Dude.
So
you're selling me on this guy. I want like that. I'm interested in. I want that. That sounds great. I want that. I mean, seriously,
it's jarring. Now here's the thing. The character is likable, so I'm having this like internal struggle of trying to be immersed and constantly being pulled out. But and he's starting to grow on me a little bit. But as I said at the end of the last stream, but that's the only kind of jarring thing. The only other thing about the game is there's a few pretty big bugs. It is gorgeous, but there's some camera issues. But the kind of takeaway for this game, for anyone interested, is if the idea of an RPG RTS is even the slightest bit interesting to you, this game is a good example of how to do it right. And outside of those little issues I mentioned, it is like people have been asking me to compare this game to others. it's kind of tough. There's really just like there's not a lot of games out there like this one. That the kind of back and forth, like right here, this is a great example. This mission starts as a CRPG. You're running around this map, you're getting loot, you're talking to villagers, you're getting quests, you're getting information on what's going on, you're trying to cure this like crazy magical plague. And you know, here's a store scene, you have a full inventory, you can buy rare weapons. The rare weapons all have different abilities on them, you have a full armor set. It's a straight up RPG. And then like,
I feel like if you had just described, like without your description of the game, without telling me about this other stuff, watching just the video that I'm seeing here, I would probably have immediately discounted this game. I probably would have been like, it looks nice, but it looks like just another like generic Western fantasy game. I do not need any more of those. So is it the RTS stuff that makes it like pop, or
a little bit?
What's
yes,
the other part? Yeah.
The combination of the mechanics are good, but to be fair, I am a fan of those Western RPG worlds. So for me, that was actually something that drew me into the game. And like, I kind of like seeing the different takes on that kind of world. You know, what is this game going to do to the world I feel comfortable in that's going to make it interesting? And for me, that was kind of the story and the setting, which was, again, like I said earlier, a little bit harder than most. Like right at the beginning of the game, some pretty serious stuff happens. And you know, I kind of like when games go that less trodden route in that regard, make it a little bit more abrasive in terms of what's being given to you instead of kind of easing you into it like some games have been doing recently. But no, in terms of looking for more than what you're seeing now, it is a pretty standard fantasy in a pretty standard fantasy world. You are going to get a lot of stuff that's going to be different, but I think it kind of wants to stick to that in some ways. Because I have to admit, with the gameplay and the genre bending it already does, I could easily see this game going into foreign territory with a general population. So I think having some of those kind of anchor points kind of works in its favor in this regard. It hasn't bothered me, but again, I'm a fan of the setting. But if you're not a fan of the setting, I don't think the mechanics are going to pull you into it on top.
Makes sense.
Right. Okay. Yeah, like I feel like you can definitely do it right, and I think that games like Divinity, you know, they've proven that you can still wring some cool stuff out of that. But usually, when someone says it's a fantasy game in the mold of like a Baldur's Gate, or like set in a very traditional kind of Western fantasy world, but it's dark, I'm like, oh god, like just please no, because that's usually where people go to try to make something that's not interesting, where they're like, it's like Star Trek, but there's sex and blood, and you're like, oh, all right, it's a mature dark reboot. But it is, I think it maybe takes more talent to wring something interesting out of that space than it does just kind of like making a brand new thing.
Yeah. By the way, apologies for everyone's ears just then. We thought we had this whole thing figured out with Adam. It has nothing to do with his setup. It has everything to do with the program that we're using for. It has auto adjust, and Adam sometimes speaks very quietly, and when it does that, it ramps it up, and then Adam speaks very loudly, and then it fucking blows everyone's ears out.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sonic damage.
We apologize. The compressor is doing its best to catch it, but it's still
Sonic attack.
Well, cool.
I got my weapon.
You're finishing Spellforce, right? You're almost done with it?
To be honest, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I've got like a laundry list of games that I'm wanting to play, and Subnautica fully releases next year or beginning of next year, and then Monster Hunter and stuff. And I've heard that this is a pretty big game. So if I'm actually going to consider Xenoblade and all that kind of stuff, I don't know how long I'll probably stay in it, but
okay.
I'm having fun with it so far, and I can definitely see people spending lots of hours in it if they're available. I don't know how long the game is, but
cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Been fun so far.
All right. Well, is there anything else? We could do a bit of news, but have you guys played anything else particularly that you want to bring up? Persona 5, kind of Xenoblade, Path of Exile, Horizon's been kind of I feel like right now is the time where everyone's like, all right, what didn't I play this year? And they're going back and playing that. Or just...
Thank God PoE came out, man.
Yeah, or they're addicted to Path of Exile.
Some cases.
like me and Co. Well, cool.
No one here plays PUBG or anything, the new desert map,
no,
like that.
I was going to
watched a little bit of that.
I'm going to bring some of that news up. Yeah, the PUBG stuff launched, the new map. We got a release date. It comes out in 7 days. Apparently 1.0 launches on PC. So we'll see if that happens. It launched on Xbox, but apparently there's some issues with it performing just fucking abysmally bad. Just it doesn't run that well at all on the Xbox. There was a lot of server issues. There's a Digital Foundry article on it, I think, where they talk about that. And then there's a tweet from Wheat. I haven't watched any. There's no way to like go and find, you know, in the PUBG directory if someone's playing the PC version or someone's playing the Xbox version, except for just looking at their title and see if they designate one or the other.
Yeah, I think there's probably communities that are like Xbox streamers.
That's true. That might be a way of going at it. But yeah, we tweeted that PUBG on the Xbox is unintentionally one of the funniest things he's ever seen. And I think it's because people are just bad at aiming with a controller. So when you see people play on the PC, it's like, you know, you watch a Shroud or one of the people very good at it, and they're just like fucking zoomed in, just hitting all the shots. And you go on Xbox, and it's fucking just they're missing.
It's like watching that animated GIF of the robot trying to open the door.
Yes.
You're like, come on, buddy, come on, you can do it. He's only 10 feet away from you. Pull that trigger. Come on.
Yep. There's also some news that came out, I think it was this morning or yesterday, where apparently on Mixer, there is a stream that I guess it was developed by Microsoft or something, but it's basically a stream that goes from game to game in PUBG and finds like the top 5 or something, and it plays out the top 5 from someone's perspective, which is kind of fucking cool. Like, I'm kind of into the idea of skipping past all that like early game, like 70-person bullshit and just seeing like top 5 or top 10 PUBG experiences. Like, that's kind of a cool idea.
It's the PUBG 24/7 highlight channel, right?
Well, it's not necessarily highlights. It's real time as far as I know. It's real time, like going into servers, like seeing top 10 experiences. I think.
Of other Mixer people?
Of other things just in the game. I don't think it has anything to do with other streams.
You're saying that it looks for live games and shows you the end of them?
Yes, on the Xbox.
Now, are these live games in the game or live game that other people are streaming?
Live in the game. That's why it's cool, because it has nothing to do with people streaming. It's just games that are happening in the world that they're apparently getting into on the Xbox and showing a top 10 moment. Is my understanding.
Yeah, it's because Microsoft can get into the Xbox and like, you know, take the like do like a spectator on anything.
Yeah.
Are they shoutcasting it though?
Are they what?
Are they? Is it like a person controlling the camera and going to the action and shoutcasting it, or is it just like who's controlling the camera and stuff?
It's automated. It's just first person views of the person playing live.
Oh,
that's why it's cool, right? Let me see if I can pull up some more information of it. So it says Hyperzone switches between. Okay, never mind. Let's read this comment. This is very important because everything I just said has been negated now. Hype Zone, which is the name of the stream, switches between Mixer streamers closest to winning the coveted chicken dinner, hosting the streamer until they either win or die. This gives viewers the opportunity to discover streamers of all levels during the most intense moments of the game. Everything I just said was negated. Still kind of cool though, but also in a way like.
Well, it's
I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah.
You're competing not only to win the game, but if you're a small streamer who's building up your skill, you're competing to be on that slot, right? So if you're decent at the game, you're going to get into that top 5 or whatever more often than someone who isn't, and it's going to get more eyes on your stream, which is interesting.
There's an article on Waypoint, and it says it's working. So they had a streamer, and it said, it had to happen to me this morning, said one streamer on Reddit. I had 2 viewers. Then all of a sudden, I kept getting random follows, and it jumped me to the mid-70s. Funny because I ended up in the top 10 that game, but didn't get a chicken dinner until 2 games later. So that's pretty fucking cool to like jump people up.
Are they paying these people, or is it just in the terms of service that like we can just jack your stream and put it wherever we want?
It might be.
See, that brings up a couple very interesting questions. Like that could be really cool if there was some serious connectivity between that channel and the channel they're showcasing. Like if it was the kind of thing where there was a button where it's like what you're seeing, click here to go to this streamer's channel, or click here to follow this streamer, stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But if this is the kind of thing where Mixer is just like, yeah, we're going to have this channel that people can sub to this channel, and this channel is just going to host a bunch of people and basically play their content, and then you can pay this channel to sub on it, which I hate to say it is some of the stuff that happens on Twitch these days. That's not cool, especially for this stage of the game for Mixer. But again, if the viewer is jumping on the person, like from the sounds of what you just read, there is that connectivity there. I mean, if a guy went from 2 streamers to 70, like back in the day, that's a really good day. So if you were like a Twitch streamer, that's like hey, something's happening on my channel.
I've got
So
it pulled up. I can
that's
explain
kinda huge.
everything that instead of just taking guesses, but I can't show it because it's Mixer, and I'm not going to show a Mixer stream on Twitch, chat. I'll try to describe everything that I'm seeing though. So it's literally, if you go to this website, it's Hype Zone PUBG, and it says follow in the top left for Hype Zone PUBG. But in the actual overlay of the stream, it says follow, and it follows the streamer that it's currently in the hype zone with. And it says so-and-so is in the hype zone. And it says how many viewers it has. And it's basically, I guess if you had to put it in Twitch terms, it's a host of that stream that constantly rotates, I guess.
Wait a second. So the numbers that guy saw jump from 2 to 70, those weren't people going to his Mixer channel. Those were people watching from the hype channel and not going to his channel?
Okay, so I don't know if it forces you, because I'm seeing two chats on this UI. It automatically defaulted to the stream that's, quote, in the hype zone. That's a kind of a stupid thing. A stream that's in the hype zone, but it defaulted to the person's, it defaulted to their chat. But you can also go to the hype zone chat, but it's nowhere near as active. And also in the hype zone chat, you can use a vote to skip to the next streamer. And if it gets 5 exclamation point next, it goes to the next streamer.
5?
So, yeah, it says vote
How many people are
1 of
watching
5.
that channel right
I guess 300, and Mixer's got very low numbers. I guess it's 313. I don't know how to see like concurrent viewers on here because they have the little eye thing with a big number, but then next to that is another eye that's blue with a much smaller number. But then on the overlay of the channel, it says so-and-so is in the hype zone with a white number with an eye next to it. And then it says 325 adding hype. So I have absolutely no idea what the fuck I'm looking
run an
at.
algorithm on this to get the right number.
I don't know. I have no idea. But Twitch should steal that and do something similar to that, because it'd be a great way to get people in the PUBG thing elevated up to, like Co said, from the single digits to the double or even triple sometimes.
Now, the system itself is just auto-hosting, but the interesting part is either someone is picking the channels to go in that auto-host list on the fly, or there is some kind of software detection when a streamer's in the top 10.
Right.
And if it's the
that's
latter,
I think that's what it is. I think
that's kind of huge.
Yeah.
Like I would really love to understand the technical behind that, because that has some very far reach. Like imagine if you could go to a Dark Souls directory and it's like, find me a streamer on a boss.
Right.
Yeah.
Find me a streamer on a boss that's died 5 times. Like if you could sort based on what they're doing in the game.
That'd be kind of nutty.
Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's pretty cool.
Huh.
I mean, I can't imagine it's that difficult with a thing like PUBG, because it's simply just reading a numerical value from the stream, and if the stream is on or not. And if the stream is on and the number of remaining players is X, then put it on the host list.
Oh, you think like OCR? So it would actually look at the screen and pick out the text via
Well, it doesn't even need to look at the text, because the text is a reflection. It's a graphical reflection of a flag in the database that's feeding it to the player, right, from the server. Yeah. So the server is what knows how many players left there are. So that shouldn't be that hard.
So, but how would they be able to talk to the server? Well, anyway, whatever. It's just technical shit. But yeah, you're right. It's probably pretty easy.
Man, two things. One, this game runs real bad on the fucking Xbox. It is chugging. He's in the plane right now, and it is fucking chugging real bad. Two, he's ripping the fattest vape clouds I've ever seen, and it's so fucking funny to me. Like, it is just the funniest thing. But anyways, if you want to Google Mixer Hype Zone, I don't know if I can link to Mixer on Twitch, so I'm not going to do so. You just Google Mixer Hype Zone PUBG, and you'll get it. I thought that was kind of cool though. It's I'm wondering if Twitch is going to start kind of going down that path, because it's a cool path. I think that actually benefits streamers.
Well, now that we have the always on category, I'm surprised Twitch hasn't done it already, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Is there any other like? There's not really any.
There's no aim assist in the Xbox PUBG, is there?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're hopefully not. They don't crossplay, do they?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh God! Oh my God! I hope not.
By the way, JP,
Hey,
there was one.
I remember Shadowrun. I remember that shooter. That was
Shadowrun
great. That
was
great.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was
great.
some good crossplay.
What were we gonna say, Co?
Oh, I was gonna say there was one thing. I think I talked about it last show, but I finished it after, I think, and that was the Surge DLC. I don't know if I actually talked about that.
Yeah.
In the Park DLC.
Yeah. How was the ending? Because I think you were in like the first part, and you said there was a second part or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So there is definitely a second part.
Okay.
There was a second part where you go back into the DLC and then he discovers something that opens up like an entire other area. It definitely is not. Well, at least I don't see how it could be a 1 to 2 hour DLC unless you're like speed running it. Because I think I spent closer to 5 by the time with it. And if you're doing a single player game, you have to actually go back into the main game and continue for about 2 hours before you get to the second part of the DLC. It's kind of weird because it's not like normal DLCs that feel like something they just kind of plugged into the game. It's kind of threaded through the main story. So I feel like it's almost a DLC that's going to be more appreciated by people that haven't played the game before, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, for DLC by definition, it's supposed to be extra content. But at the end, I liked it. I had a good time with it. Very beautiful new locations, lots of cool new weapons, great new enemies. The armor sets were cool. I ended up using one of the ones from the DLC. Yeah, it was really cool. Not too much more to add to what we talked about last week, but it was good. It was good.
Cool.
A lot of fun.
Just some headlines from a couple bits of news over the past week. That co-op game, A Way Out, that was shown at E3 from the guy who made Tale of Two Brothers or whatever, who was at the Game Awards saying, fuck the Oscars.
Who is my favorite guy in the world now?
He was great, yeah. Just completely drunk and or on other substances. Apparently, to play the online co-op in A Way Out, only one person needs to own the game. Which is a smart way of doing that, I think. That's kind of a cool way of doing that.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a way to get people who don't fucking play video games to be like, hey, or don't play that type of game to be like, hey, let's do this co-op. You don't have to buy it. It's cool. What else was there? God of War is apparently reportedly 25 to 30 hours long, which is much longer than I was expecting that game to be. I was expecting like a 10 to 14 hour experience. Which is kind of crazy. We didn't talk about it when we were talking about the Game Awards, but there was that new teaser from the From Software team. Whatever.
I was wondering if you're going to talk about this. You mean the video I've watched 7,000 times?
Yeah, I watched Maximilian on stream for about 2 hours. Like,
oh, wait a second, Adam, did you translate it
too?
It's
what do you mean? Did you?
I know it's not Bloodborne 2. No, it's only like a little. There's no language in it. Yeah, it's this thing. The
Oh, I heard somebody told me there was characters in it.
Oh,
that
in
they
the
thought were
background.
Japanese.
So there's characters in the background, but you can't make them out. Like if those are kanji, you can't read them.
Yeah. So a
I
lot of
still hope
people. Well, I think the rumor is that, or everyone's not rumor. Everyone's saying that this is Tenchu and not Bloodborne. Is what people are thinking, because
It's a little grisly for Tenchu.
Yeah.
I'd love it. I'd love a new Tenchu game. Tenchu Stealth Assassin was some shit, but
yeah,
the like bone thing to me feels like a little darker than I would expect for a Tenchu game. But
I agree.
That'd be really cool.
We talked about this on the Game Awards recast that we did with me, Zeke, and Max and Strippin, but like, the fact that all they have to do is show some fucking weird thing with like a rope and then just put From Software on there, and no matter what it is, I am in like 1,000 fucking percent.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. They've got like their audience trained with a lot of that stuff, which is it's cool to see. I want to see more of that. I think everyone else does. Bayonetta, or go ahead, Zeke.
Well, there's a From Software game from 1998, Shadow Tower. And people are saying, like, I just looked it up to make sure it was actually From Software, and it is.
Yeah.
And you know that it says in the promo, shadows die twice. So
yeah,
that sounds like totally reasonable.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
First-person action role-playing game.
Be super into it,
Shadow
man.
Tower.
I'd be into all that. What like From Software is at this point where they've become like the Blizzard, where no matter what they put out, I will at least look at it and give it a definitive try. Like, they've earned that, I think. Just the blind trust that I will earn, or I will look at whatever they're putting out. Then we got
This game sounds awesome.
We got the Bayonetta 3 official trailer as well. That's going to be a Switch exclusive. It looks, or it's going to be on the Switch. I don't know if it's Switch exclusive. And then was there anything?
And they're re-releasing Bayonetta 1 and 2, right?
On the Switch, yeah.
You get them with the That's cool because I've never played any of the Bayonetta games, but I'll probably go back and play them now.
Oh, great. Zeke was talking about he's never played Bayonetta 2, so he might be doing the same.
No, if it's on the Switch, which I never played a Wii U. I think I bought one, but bought one from the pawn shop and never played it. But now that's on the Switch, and I have the Switch and it's hooked up and all ready to go, I might just have to pick it up.
Gotcha. Apparently that Okami HD thing that released a couple days ago is locked at 30 FPS on the PC. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
What were we going to say, Zeke?
This is was announced at 11 a.m. today. Patreon is rolling that back.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that change that they made,
good to see.
I'll put the link in the chat.
We got to introduce what the fuck you're talking about because people probably have no idea. Patreon introduced.
No, I bet they do. I mean, they're on your channel. They know it.
Well, I'd rather introduce it rather than just saying, "Hey, nothing's happened to Patreon."
Sure, go ahead.
Patreon announced some stuff at the beginning of the week saying that they were basically to charge 2.5% plus 35 cents to any tier, and people lost their shit over that because 35 cents is impactful. That's a shitty way of bringing it about. But basically, they were going to charge more for absolutely nothing in return, and a lot of people were upset about that, both creators and people that support patrons on Patreon. And they came out today and said that they're not doing that anymore. So you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it looked like an effort. It looked like an effort to scrape the bottom tier off of Patreon, basically, to just be like, if you're not making X amount of money, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because to a lot of these smaller Patreons that are making $100, $200 a month, most of those people have a dollar level tier, which suddenly becomes $1.30. Like you're getting it's a 50% additional charge almost, and people. What's weird is that the damage is done, right? Like they announced it. A lot of people with those smaller Patreons were like, well, if you can't back anymore, I understand. People unfollowed, and now people are gonna be like, oh, please come back. Like they changed their mind. Come back and help me out with that.
Yeah.
But it's a weird choice.
We dropped.
It would be like it would be like Twitch being like, cool, all subs are $6 now.
Right.
And then a week later being like, never mind, change your mind, we're back to $5.
It is shitty because quote, the damage is done. We lost, I think, probably around 100 patrons of our 4,000. The monetary value didn't change because a lot of those people were at the $1 tier to begin with. But I know a lot of people, as soon as I even retweeted that earlier, said that fuck, I've already changed my tiers. Like I've already been affected by this. And now that it's not happening, I got to go back and tend to this whole thing. So,
yeah. And honestly, I got to say, out of all of this, I think the part that was probably the worst. Now, for Patreon's side, their argument is that, hey guys, when we made this system, we thought that a lot more people would be getting higher tiers. Now we have a majority of people getting like $1 tiers, and this is costing us money. Essentially, like these transaction costs are costing us money.
Right.
But here's when they put up this big forum post, a big blog post, basically explaining why they were doing it. They put two of the most misleading bar graphs at the bottom, where they basically said like, here's how it was, and here's how it is. And in the here's how it is thing, it showed the very tiny little last bit as 2.9% or whatever, plus 35 cents.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you understand on a $1 donation, that little tiny end thing is going to be like all of it.
Yeah.
Like you're basically like trying to mislead these people.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like, money is math, right? We understand math, whatever. It sucks sometimes and you got to deal with it.
Right.
But then when you try to pull the wool over the eyes of the people giving you money.
Well, it's such a weird thing as someone who kind of went through the process of our Patreon when we changed a bunch of things, whenever that was 4 or 5 months ago, where we just basically upped the price. We didn't beat around the bush. It was like, hey, we think this is going to be a better, ROI for us because this is a business and businesses make money. Patreon skirted around that. And I think that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Exactly what Code just said. Whereas, on a $1 donation, 35 cents is a large part. It's 35% of that dollar more that people would be paying for nothing. Like they won't be getting anything in return for that. It was literally just, hey, you're going to be paying 35% more. Right. If at the dollar period,
have, 1,000 plus $1 patrons, you're talking about literally taking like hundreds of dollars from them per month.
Right. And that's where the idea that Patreon, because if they're getting charged a per patron fee, if Patreon is paying for that, they want you, if you're a person with 1,000 $1 patrons, get the fuck off the platform because you're costing them money.
Right.
Costing them money.
They're like,
exactly right.
They're like, listen, either convert that into 2 $500 levels and get your 2 patrons. We only have to pay that fee twice, or get the hell out of here because you're not making them as much money, right? They're looking at their numbers and they're saying, the patron campaigns that make us the most money are the ones that have less big dollar amounts. These little ones, they're costing us money, even if they're making you, the creator, money, and we don't want them.
Yeah. It comes at an interesting time now that they've announced this, and then today de-announced it in a way, especially with Kickstarter getting their stuff launched called Drip, which is kind of the Kickstarter version of Patreon. So now that they actually have a competitor who has a reasonably amount of, capital behind them with Kickstarter, we'll just have to see what happens with all that stuff.
I love the name. I can already hear the jokes.
Drip's a good name, man. Drip's a good
support my Drip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of jokes I want to make.
Venereal disease jokes. There's IV jokes. Like, I need that drip.
Yeah.
Come on over here and just suckle from the drip.
It's a good name.
I'm sucking on your drips, guys. I'm sucking on them.
That sounds like a hot new drip.
You want to be a $1 suckler? Come on over.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. In terms of like our own Patreon, we'll just have to monitor the whole thing. I think that I would bet that Patreon's going to revisit this and try to change something up because they're a business at the end of the day. And a lot of that stuff is just beneficial of exactly what Adam was saying. So we will just have to see. And then the other thing we mentioned at the start of stream, Ni no Kuni 2 has been delayed again to March 23rd now. Which
one?
Ni no Kuni 2. You weren't going to play it. Oh. I was super excited to play it, but
that one game that had the
It's basically Persona, but Studio Ghibli, by the way.
So. Honestly, so this is where I'm at with Ni no Kuni as a franchise. Every time anyone mentions it or it comes up or I see it, I'm like, oh, that's that game JP likes.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, JP will care about this.
Yep. When was it? It was sometime in January, I think, is when it was supposed to release. Let me open up the article real quick. It doesn't matter anymore.
The original game, to go back to Zeke, what you were saying about the voice acting in Persona, I found the original Ni no Kuni beautiful to look at. Gameplay was pretty fun. Voice acting was just fucking intolerable.
Oh, what are you talking about? The Scottish guy was amazing.
No, the voice acting, the English voice acting was so
It was
bad.
amazing. The Scottish guy was so good.
Better. Oh man, I had to stop. I had to quit. I couldn't get through
but
it.
Is it so bad it's good?
No, I didn't think so. Listen, art is about preference. I didn't enjoy it, but if you liked Drippy or whatever his name was.
Drippy, that's right. Yeah. Drippy was great, man. He was a Scottish thing. He was like an egg thing, if I recall correctly. I think it's been a while since I've thought about that game. No, Ni no Kuni's like Studio Ghibli Pokemon type stuff.
Okay, what am I thinking of? The one with the dog where you're a god?
Oh no, that's not this one.
I'm not sure. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni was a beautiful game. I forgot how pretty it is looking back at it.
Fuck yeah, it's gorgeous. That's why I'm excited for the second one. Plus, it was Pokemon, and I got a T-Rex guy that I named Tasteless in the very beginning of the game, and I was a god for the entire 40-plus hours after that, to where it was just easy walking around killing people with T-Rex. It was great. That was originally supposed to ship on January 19th, and now it's March 23rd. So just got to be a more Path of Exile, I guess, till Monster Hunter comes out is what that means.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, shit. I guess I'll have to play some more of that game. But that's our show, I think. Adam, thanks so much for coming on. It was really awesome to hear you and Zeke talk Persona, because you dropped a lot of knowledge on there that I don't think many people could, which is good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
it was a delight.
Zeke, why don't you start us off with some shout outs, sir.
You betcha. What's up, everybody? Ezekiel the Third here. You can catch me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
That's not right.
All Ezekiel_III. What's going on? I am not the skinny ghost. I am Adam Coble.
What
I want you to know. I am a GM extraordinaire. I'm amazing. And you're jealous of my hair.
Wait. Hey, it's fixed.
There we go. Someone turn the lights on. What'd you do? I turned off the wall. No, you didn't. You turned off the whole movie. I'm not Skinny Ghost Adam Coble. I am Ezekiel the Third. And all I said like that, it's right there. You can see it. It's right up there. That's everything. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Thank you to Adam for being here again. You're always an engaging conversationalist, which I enjoy. Also, thank you to Co and JP for being awesome co-hosts. I will be playing Persona 5 in about an hour. I'm going to get some lunch. I'm going to get some fuel so I can have a nice long injection of Persona today. So if you want to check me out, that's where I'll be in about an hour. So thank you for watching.
Have you started thinking about prices in what is it? Is it yen? What is the Japanese currency?
It's yen.
Yeah. Have you started thinking about prices in yen yet? Because that's when you know you've played too much Persona. But it doesn't sound like you have.
Well, not really.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
It's $40 hamburger. Get out of here.
Honestly, I moved the decimal place over a couple, and then add a couple of bucks or whatever.
Yeah. Co, do some shout outs.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Co. Hey, it is.
I'm turning on the lights. Hold on, Co. They're on. You're good.
Hi. Hi guys, I'm Co. It's nice to meet you. If I haven't met you before, big thank you to Adam. Always a pleasure doing anything with him, be it RPG or drop frames or anything. So thank you, Adam. And also a big thank you to JP and Zeke as always. My name is Co. I stream every single day at 8 a.m. EST, currently playing PoE and Spellforce 3, and we're going to be trying Xenoblade Chronicles 2 soon. And going to be streaming Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, all the fun times. So if you need someplace to be, love for you to come say hi. And yeah, thanks as always for watching.
And last but not least, Mr. Adam Coble. Do some shout outs.
Am I coming to you from the void? Do I have a background? Hello,
Nope.
everybody. Oh,
Nope.
I have the background, but nothing else. Okay, that's fine.
Man, this got real fucked up when he linked stuff. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Adam Coble. You probably recognize me from my work right here on itmeJP as the GM for Court of Swords and Nebula Jazz, but you can also find me on my own channel, twitch.tv/Adam Coble, or on Twitter at Skinny Ghost. I'm going to be playing some RimWorld a little later today. Haven't really played much of it, so I'm excited to try that out. So I'm going to jump in, play some of that for the rest of the day.
God, it's spiked. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and we're going to work on this mic thing.
I don't understand why it does that. I need to
we'll figure it out.
Talk to some folks. Yeah,
we'll talk to somebody about that.
Yeah,
but yeah, thanks for having me on the show, guys. This was great. Any excuse that I get to talk about Persona, I'm all about it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on. Some housekeeping stuff before we close out the show. Next week will be our Game of the Year show. We're probably going to be going for 4 hours, I think is what we've scheduled. We'll try to keep to that schedule as best as possible. It'll be starting at normal time, 1 o'clock Eastern. If you want to vote in the community vote, go over to GOTY Game of the Year, just goty.itmebot.com, and you can vote for your games. I think right now, or at least last I checked, a couple days ago.
Next week. Fuck.
Yeah, we were at around 1,900 or 1,800 submissions as of last week. So thanks for everyone that has voted. I've seen some of the percentages on there, and it'll be interesting to say the least come next week.
If Zelda's not Game of the Year, I'll be disappointed.
We'll see. And then we're on iTunes now. We talked about that at somewhere in the show today. But yeah, if you want to grab us on iTunes, you can. Just search Drop Frames and it'll pop up. Feel free to leave us a rating and a comment. That helps kind of get the show out there to other people that haven't yet discovered Drop Frames. We'll be getting up on other platforms as well over the next week. At least we're going to try. So that's that. We'll see you guys next week for our final show of 2017 with our Game of the Year awards. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I need to get Game of the Year list from Zeke and Co yet because we haven't done that. So
yeah, when do you want those by?
I'm taking a staycation till Friday, so probably Monday, I would say at the latest. Okay. That works. You got some time? Because I haven't even started on mine yet. So anyways, that's it for Drop Frames. Thanks everyone so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week. We're out. Bye-bye.